Well, hello folks, and welcome to this fun-packed video, which is all about how to delete records. Now, by the way, in the documentation, there's a thing called the delete method you'll find. It's in the database interaction section. Now, the delete method is part of the model that comes with Trongate, and it's just one line of code. And if that's what you came here for, then congratulations. Hope you enjoyed the video. That's all you have to do, really. However, since we're all here, I figured, why don't we build something that looks kinda cool? Would that be okay? Alright, so I'm assuming that you are continuing and you've been following along with our little project. And what I'm going to ask you to do is open up your book's controller file. Here it is here. And we're going to go to the create method. Now, you can see that we've got an update ID here, and what we're going to do is we're going to pass the update ID into the view file. So I'm going to say data, update ID equals update underscore ID, and save that. So that means that our update ID, when we click into a record, let's say like this one, the update ID is now being passed into the view file. So if we go to views, create, we should have access to the update ID. Now, by the way, don't forget that Trongate has the JSON method, so you can say JSON data, save it, refresh, if you ever want to see what's being passed in here. So you do have that, just as a reminder. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to head to after the cancel button. Okay, now just a word of warning, for this video there's going to be a lot of me introducing classes and JavaScript and stuff, and some of you are going to be going, what on earth is going on? Listen, I do not expect you to remember any of this. I will not remember any of this. So just relax, smile, and join in with the fun. We're going to say, if update ID is greater than 0, then echo form button, and we're going to call the button delete, and we're going to have it with some text that says delete. Now you can say delete record if you want, it's absolutely fine. Now I want the button to be red in color, so let's just say delete attributes class equals, to make the button red, I'm going to say danger. Now, if we pass in those delete attributes, save it, and refresh, you'll see that we've now got a red delete button here. It's kind of cool. Now, if you want, you can send it over to the right-hand side. Inside one of the CSS files, I think it's admin.css, there is a class called go_write. So I'm going to add in go-write. I'm going to save it, refresh, and there we go. Perfect. And by the way, this will look decent on mobile devices as well. So if I just quickly show you, there's our 3 buttons. Don't they look fantasticola? Alright, so the last thing that we want to do, by the way, is have it so that when people click that, it deletes the record. That would be a disaster. Instead, we're going to give them a nice little pop-up. In fact, we've already got one on our other record. This was automatically generated. So do you see this? See the little window? This is called a modal. M-O-D-A-L, a modal. And I'm going to teach you how to build these. It's really, really easy, okay? So here we are. We have our delete thing. And what we're going to do is we're going to add on to delete attributes. And we're going to say onClick equals open modal. And then parenthesis. So inside the template, there's a JavaScript file that I made. It's called open modal, and what it's expecting is an element ID. An ID for some element so that when we click on it, it's going to appear on the page. Now I'm going to do my quotations with backslashes thing. Okay, so it's a backslash single quote, backslash single quote. And I'm going to add in an element ID. Now you can call it anything you want. I'll go with confirm-delete, but you can really and truly call it anything you want, okay? Now save that, refresh, and if you click on the delete button, you'll see that the screen goes dark. It's trying to open up an element called confirm-delete, but of course that element doesn't exist. So now we are going to build it. So here's how this goes. I want you to make some room downstairs here. And we're going to have a div with a class of... Now, by the way, it's a modal. It's going to be a modal. What do you think the name of the class... It's going to be a modal, right? What do you think the name of the class is going to be? That's right. It's modal. Now, the modal is going to have an ID. What do you think the ID is going to be? Here's your clue. That's right. So I'm using Emmet here, by the way, as for shortcuts. So the class is going, the ID is confirm-delete, and there you go. Now, I don't want this modal to be visible when the page is loading. It has to be invisible by default the moment this page starts to load. So I'm going to hard code in style equals display of none. Doing this is my absolute guarantee that nobody is going to see this thing, unless of course somebody clicks open modal. Alright, now there's two parts to a modal. The first part is the modal heading. So I'm going to have a div with a class of modal-heading, and I'm going to just say delete record. The next part is the modal body. So I'm going to have a div with a class of modal-body, and in here you can chuck in some text, something like, well, anything you want, but how about a little paragraph? Maybe we could say, you are about to delete a record. Are you sure? Or something like that. Now it can be anything you want, but just a little notice to let them know what's happening. Now let's save that. And we're going to refresh. And now we're going to click on delete. And look at this, a fabulous little modal appears here. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Alright. Now, by the way, it really doesn't matter what the ID is here, but it has to match whatever you've got on the open modal declaration, just so you know, right? Okay, so shall we make this thing look kind of nice? Let's do it. I'm going to go to the modal heading and I'm going to give it a red background. To do this, I'll add on a class of danger. Save it. Refresh, and there we go. Next, I'm going to build a form, just an ordinary form. So I'm going to go into PHP, I'm going to echo form open, I'm going to send the user to books / submit delete / now don't forget we do have an update ID, so we'll chuck that in as well. Now since we've opened the form, let's close it. Like that. Close off PHP. Don't you love a little bit of symmetry? Me too. So inside here now, we're going to have two buttons. A submit button and a cancel button. So let's do the submit button. I'm going to actually just say echo form submit. I'll give it a name of submit and a value of yes-delete and save that. Let's go straight on and do the, in fact I'll space out for clarity. Let's do the cancel button. I'll say echo form button and I'll give this one a name of cancel, doesn't really matter. and I'll just write the word cancel. Okay, so 2 buttons and a form. Save it, refresh, have a little click, and there are the 2 buttons. Now they're not too bad, but I think we can make them look a little bit better. I'm going to add on a class, and this one is actually, I believe, inside Trongate CSS. Let me see if I can show you. There is one called Text Center. Here it is right here. And it just does text align center, right? So it's nothing fancy here. There's no big mystery. But on our form, I'm going to add in that class. I'll do it with this syntax. I'll say array, so comma array, class assigned to text center. There you go. So we've now passed that attribute into our form. Save it, refresh, have a little click, and there you go. Next thing, let's focus on the cancel button. So I'll say cancel attributes class equals alt. And of course, we do have to pass in our cancel attributes. We're going to save, refresh, have a little click, and there you go. Now, when people click this cancel button, I want the modal to close. So to do that, I'm going to say cancel attribute on click equals close modal. And it's as simple as that. So now if we refresh, we can open and close, and everything is just perfect. Okay, finally, let's sort out the submit button. With that, I'm going to add on a class of danger. We'll make it go red, right? So we'll use this syntax, I think. So it's an array with a class assigned to danger. Save it, refresh, and there we go. Now that's looking fantastic. All right, so I hope you'll agree that was reasonably simple. I don't expect you to remember that. I'll just tidy this up. But pretty straightforward really, right? So now it is time for the business part of this, the actual delete. To do that, I'm going to go underneath this submit here, for no particular reason, by the way. And I'm just going to say function submit delete. Now this is going to take in an update ID from the URL. I'm going to say update ID is segment 3, and I want it turned into an integer. There we go. Then I'm just going to call upon this delete method here, which is covered in the documentation. So I'm going to say this model delete and pass in the update ID. Then we'll do a little bit of flash data. So set flash data. The record was successfully deleted. And then I'm just going to redirect to books/manage. And there you have it. So now I'll take you back to the main page here. So here are all the records. I'm going to click into this one now. I'm going to click delete. Now let me just close it to make sure that works. That's good. And now I'm going to actually do the delete. Okay, so here we go. And as you can see, everything works perfectly. Oh, by the way, before we go, shall we do this dynamic nav thing here? Okay, so to do that, we are going to go and open up a file by the name of dynamic nav. Now, normally I just search for that, right? Dynamic nav. However, if you want to find it, I'll show you where it lives. It's inside templates, views, partials, admin, dynamic nav. Now you can see that we've got an li here. So we just do the same vibe, and it's going to be books /manage, and I'm just going to say manage books, okay? So the file is dynamic nav. Now let me save it and refresh. Keep an eye on the left hand side, and that's the dynamic nav done as well. By the way, I consider this to be a mistake, okay? And hopefully yours looks a bit more like this. Alright, but I've only just made the thing, so take it easy, you know? Anyway, thank you very much indeed. It has been a pleasure and a privilege, and I'll see you down the road.